don't second guess. Unapologetic, we're bold and we're loud, shining light on the left shady crowd. Oreo Express, rolling down the track, exposing the lies, ain't no turning back. Conservative fire, we're speaking the truth. At Oreo Express, this one's for you. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll, let's go. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80%.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Oreo Express. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is Tuesday, July 8th, and we got a lot to talk about today. We had a cabinet meeting with Trump and his folks. We got Pam Bondi on record talking about the Epstein files and some of the questions regarding why there's 1 minute missing from the videotape. There's just a lot of stuff to talk about. We got an update on what's going on in Texas. I almost said Oregon. In Texas, we got some more stuff. 10 arrested in a plot to kill and murder our ICE agents. We're going to talk about that. So a whole lot going on today, including some clarification from Trump regarding amnesty. There's some people spreading, I think, maybe they thought they weren't rumors, are trying to get ahead of a story and talked about that Trump was thinking about amnesty, and he is not. He clarifies that. We also have the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, who held an event today about taking our land back from China, our farmland. We're going to talk about that and a lot more on the show today. Want to say thank you to everybody tuning in. Let me go to the chats. We got Sugar Bear, hello. Trina, hello. Rob Wallace, hello. Microtaz, Jay Lynn, Fairness 2020, Nola's in the house. Let's see, Party Bonza, Cade, Texas. He's still working to get those EBTs for those illegals, guys. We're also going to talk about the judge who is defying Congress. That was interesting. We'll talk about that. Renee, let's see who else is down here at the bottom. Miss Hayes, Susan K. Spencer, Pixie. Thank you, guys. Jan Doe, thank you, guys, for tuning in. Belladons, hello, hello, hello. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Lot in the news section today. And we're going to start off with the update and then the attacks of mainstream media when it comes to these press conferences. Remember the other day we showed you a video from Ben Bergquam that the media teaming up. They want to make Trump look bad. They want to make they want to make Trump administration look bad, like somehow they can control flooding and weather. Now, there is some people that can control flooding and weather. We're also going to talk about that. If you remember yesterday, I said the rumor is right now, and I'm trying to confirm it, that that area where this flooding happened was cloud seeded on July 2nd, 2 days before this. Well, it's been confirmed. I believe, and we'll get into the story, but the CEO of the cloud seeding company is confirming this. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you how the media is really trying to attack the first responders and everybody there with gotcha questions. We'll bring you a little bit of some other stuff, but listen to this. This was an update from Kerr County.
Central Time, 87
Give me one
deceased.
second.
Recovered. Central Time, 87 deceased have been recovered in Kerr County, including 56 adults and 30 children. Identification is pending for 19 adults and 7 children, with 1 additional person still unidentified. At present, 5 Camp Mystic campers and 1 counselor still remain unaccounted for. We ask private boats to stay off the Guadalupe River to allow search and rescue teams to operate without any interference.
Speaking of interference, they also had yesterday, I think it was yesterday, they put out another statement that a drone collided with one of their search and rescue helicopters. And so that helicopter is now out of service, and reminded people that that is a closed airspace right now, that they need to not do that anymore, that it will open up once the authorities have finished their search and rescue. Yesterday, we also brought up a lot about people glad that it was white Christians that died. Couldn't get it. Yeah, I mean, we talk about this all the time. It's nothing new, but when it was so fresh, excuse me, and the hearts and the minds of these parents and these people who have lost the loved ones, Libs of TikTok put up another one. Excuse me. Says writer and proud member of the resistance, Cindy Steinberg, posted F these white kids and wants more floods in response to the young girls who died in the Texas floods. Yeah, I think you might want to take a look at this one. This is insane. It says, F these white kids. I'm glad there are few less colonizers in the world now. I don't care whose bootlicking fragile ego that offends. White kids are just future fascists. We need more floods in these inbred sundown towns. And that was in response to a post that says, my heart breaks for the families who have tragically lost the little girls. I am praying for everyone who perished in the Texas flood. I can't fathom the grief. F these white kids. So again, we talk a lot. I know Mayorkas and everybody, the hate's coming from the white supremacists and all this, but we have like no news stories. And CNN would be living on it for weeks if one white supremacist did something. They talk about racism all the time, but the real racism we see here is against whites. It really is. I know there's a lot of controversial things that come up, and people say things that could, if you don't know who they are, could be accounted for. Oh, that was racist. The good example was Carmelo Anthony allegedly stabbing a white kid. And instantly, Carmelo Anthony's the victim. And a lot of people rage and get upset like this isn't justice. And they say things, and people try to say, oh, that's racism. No, it's just, it's just like a lot of people will try to clip what I say out. They haven't lived my life. They don't know what it is. They don't know the context. And just me alone and my crew, I'll call them my crew, is more diverse than any liberal group you've ever met. This is right here was I think the biography, or let's see, let me put this up here. It says Cindy Steinberg is a feminist writer on Medium. Oh, of course. Exploring the intersections of gender. Well, I'll help her out. There's only two: politics, culture, and social justice. With a passion for amplifying marginalized voices, she delves into topics such as women's rights, reproductive justice, workplace equality, and media representation. So, in other words, she's just an unhappy liberal. She literally everything she does is DEI focused. How about this one? This person claims the people that died in Texas somehow deserved it.
Videos. So I hate to be the one who it out, but it seems like it needs to get pointed out. So are we not paying attention to majority of the videos that's being shared about this flood and the certain that's on the videos? Hopefully this is opening up some eyes and showing people that he watches. I don't matter who's watching. They're watching. They see you as a person and what you're teaching your kids and how your children treat others and how you treat others. And maybe y'all weren't the best of, helping thy neighbor unless they were still or the same as you. Because I find it ironic that it was the deep southern of Texas that it happened to. We knew back in the days where they used to do everything deep down in the southern. So hopefully this changes and open up a whole lot when it comes to treating people as equal. Okay.
So all about skin color there, folks. All about skin color there. These you know who the real racist is, and you know what? A lot of these people were taught this. A lot of these people watch mainstream media. They're a victim because of their skin color. It doesn't matter your skin color. You can do anything you put your mind to if you work hard enough. And we have a generation of people that have been taught that somehow they're oppressed for something that happened 100 years ago. You know what's funny is I don't know how we're going to get through this, but it's funny that these same people that are oppressed are on their $1,500 iPhones in their house with a roof over it, eating food, maybe government sponsored food. Maybe she should wish me a happy Father's Day since I'm taking care of her. But they feel entitled to all that, and it's just wild. It's just wild. Yesterday we also played one that it was this one here. I'll just play it really quick to show you.
There's people in it. Oh my God, there's so many people in it.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white-only conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period. And I think that context needs to be said in this matter. It's not to say that we don't want the girls to be found, whatever girls that are missing or whatever right now, but you best believe, especially in today's political climate, if this were a group of Hispanic girls, especially with them being in East Texas, should be most likely Hispanic. If this were a group of Hispanic girls out there, this would not be getting this type of coverage that they're getting. No one would give a fuck. And all these white people, the parents of these little girls, would be saying things like they need to be deported, they shouldn't have been here in the first place, and yada yada yada. So before y'all come at me, before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, da, 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 da. The parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East goddamn Texas and to make a all-white enclave, exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. Once again, this is no shade to the girls. I hope they all get found. But once again, y'all have to understand the climate that we're living in. They want you to have sympathy for these people. They want you to get out of your bed and to come out of your home and to go find these people and to donate your money to go find these people. Meanwhile, they are deporting your family members.
So we played that yesterday. I just wanted to give you a refresher because this person's being called out a lot. And then they went and posted this right here. Take a look at this. Pretty much saying, come through. Come through. I'll say it like she would. Come through. Saying that, and that her name was Sadie Perkins. She put, to anyone who thinks it might be a good idea to come to my address, I got a bag of tricks waiting. You know, the best thing for evil and darkness is sunlight and exposure. And that's what she is getting. Not everybody in her area, not everybody in what she would call her clique, not everybody. Maybe there's a lot of people that agree with her because usually trash hangs out with trash, right? You are what you hang out with. And so hopefully that sunlight and that exposure will make things a little different. This one, when we talked about ABC and CNN reporters that are on the ground in Texas, Ben Berkwong talked about it. They're high-fiving each other after the press conference, getting all giddy because they're trying to get gotcha questions. It's not about the victims. It's not about the recovery efforts. It's not about any of that. Listen to this right here.
The community here is asking these questions.
Can you outline what specific discussions and actions were taken between the time the first flood emergency alert came in at 1:14 a.m. when the river first started flooding hours later? What were the specific actions and discussions that happened in those hours?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Absolutely. I would like to know, if you could outline, please, what the specific actions and discussions were that local officials took between 1:14 a.m., that's when the first flood emergency alert came out, and hours later when the river first started flooding. What happened in those hours?
What I can tell you, when I was first notified, it was around the 4 to 5 area. One of my sergeants was in dispatch when the first calls started coming in, the actual 911 calls come in. It was between 4 and 5 when I got notified. Okay. But prior to that, in that 3 to 4 area, my understanding is, and we're in the process of trying to put a timeline. That's going to take a little bit of time. As I've told you several times, that is not my priority this time. There's 3 priorities. That's locating the people out there, identifying and notifying the next of kin. That is what I'm taking as my job as sheriff here to do. Okay.
With all due respect, sir, I think that the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button. Okay, there's a lot more to that. And we've told you several times.
So did it happen, sir?
I can't tell you at this time. Okay.
You can't tell me if the emergency manager of the county actually issued an emergency alert. Okay. Sheriff, Shimon, just give me a second.
Emergency Operations Center. Who
Let him
runs
answer the question.
the Emergency
I'll come back to you. I
Operations
ain't going nowhere.
Appreciate it.
Center? Who runs the Emergency Operations Center?
We have a communication center, a dispatch, okay? We have a communication center. That's where the calls actually go to the police department, then they're forwarded to
Right,
us.
but leading up to this, in monitoring the weather, there's, in any large city, in any state, there's an Office of Emergency Management that is monitoring the weather, that is watching and listening and getting briefings. Who was getting those briefings in this city, in this county? Who was receiving that information, and who would have ultimately made the decision to evacuate, hearing what was coming in from the Weather Service and all?
Okay, what we would have done when we get notified, okay, I'm gonna tell you.
You're not emergency management, though, right? The sheriff's not EOC.
No, there is no, I'm at, as the city. Yeah. Okay, that.
So we understand you have many questions.
Right.
Hang on.
No, I understand, but you're not gonna answer the question because that's up to the city manager and the mayor to answer.
Correct.
It's the county emergency.
We understand you have many questions.
The judge is not here.
We
Listen
understand
to that.
But right now, this team up here is focused on bringing people home. That's our focus. All those questions will be answered, but the priority right now
It seems like you're done.
is bringing people home.
We totally understand that, and we value the incredible work that is being done by those first responders. We're seeing them out there muddy and sweaty and grinding it out day after day. But your community is asking these questions.
And we will get answers.
Manager in the county.
Right now, all of our resources are focused to recovery.
Who was in charge?
All those answers, all those questions have really literally been answered. We covered it yesterday. We even showed you CBS News that did a timeline of when alerts went out. The question is now, and there could be some good criticism for it, but why did this area not have evacuation sirens? Why did this area, they talked about it, it wasn't in the budget, so they didn't do it. But everything that on a federal level that needed to be done was done. But they want to keep dragging this out. They want to put the picture of the father and the mother up crying, holding their child that has been deceased now, that had died in this flood. They want that because they want to say somehow this relates back to budget cuts. That's what their goal is. See what happens when we cut budgets? No, they will never show the positive from cutting budgets. And there is a lot of that. Just look at Swallow's well right here.
In the air, or
I guess he took a
lawmakers,
break.
we have a response.
I guess he took a break from Fang, so now he wants an investigation. Take a listen to this douchebag.
Responsibility, though, to look at, did cuts affect the ability for folks on the ground and at the camp to have an earlier, better warning? But this is really going to, should we just attack government for government's sake? We've seen an effort to undermine the hard work of government workers, whether it's air traffic controllers who keep planes from colliding in the air, or FEMA first responders who go into the harshest hit places in America. But if the president's press secretary doesn't like the way this is being described, I would recommend that the president go to Texas and talk to the family.
He's already going to Texas. He announced this, that he will be here at the end of this week. But Eric Swallowswell just wants those photo ops, the political theater, because again, in his district and in his state, it is a nightmare.
And show leadership, because that's what presidents do.
He is going to go. I mean, he did say he is going to go. I think the question is then how.
He is going to go, you dumb piece of trash. Yesterday, we showed you a couple videos. Again, we talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She came out and she said, what'd she say? She said that she has been working for the last over 6 months on a bill that would stop anybody from putting anything in our air that would modify the weather. And everybody called her a QAnon, and we've covered the weather modification, which is AKA cloud seeding, for a long time. We showed you one yesterday, a video that I had pulled up from 2 years ago. It's nothing new. The government's been funding this cloud seeding. And then I said, I've read reports, but I haven't confirmed yet that this area was cloud seeded on July 2nd. Well, lo and behold, the Gateway Pundit came out with this today. Check this out. It says, confirmed. CEO of weather modification company reveals cloud seeding operations were conducted in Texas just 2 days before the deadly flood. It says the CEO of weather modification technology company has confirmed that cloud seeding operations took place in Texas just 2 days before the deadly Central Texas flood occurred. NBC reported that Augustus DeRicco, the CEO of Rainmaker, a weather modification company, said that planes had released silver iodide in the atmosphere in Texas 2 days prior to the fatal floods that have claimed over 100 lives. DeRicco claims the cloud seeding operation did not cause the flooding in Texas.
Times you might have seen posts or videos connecting cloud seeding to what is happening in Texas. And then earlier tonight, the CEO of a weather modification company confirmed that planes in Texas did release silver iodide into the atmosphere 2 days before the floods. But he also explained why he says scientifically it does not mean that the two events are connected. Watch this.
We're talking about like sub-centimeter amounts of precipitation, be it in snow or rain from every event, which in aggregate can mean hundreds of acre feet, which is very consequential for farmers and ecosystems, but cannot come close to causing flooding unto itself.
And NBC News climate reporter Chase Kane joins us now. Chase, any conspiracy always starts with like a thread of truth here. Can you explain the science? Like, what is cloud seeding?
So once again, very similar to what we've seen with the COVID jab. Mainstream media. Hold on, I got to pull this up really quick and save this one. Holy cow, what happened? Just had something pop up in the window. Let's see. I'm going to add this to my bookmark folder. That has to do with cloud seeding. Give me 1 second, because once again, these things don't happen. These things aren't going on. These things didn't happen 2 days before. You're a conspiracy theorist if you think. Now, do we truly know? I've always said this. You don't mess around with Mother Nature. This has been going on for quite a long time. It was amazing that in Dubai, they had 10 or 12 years worth of rain in like 24 hours, flooding the streets, doing all the damage it did. And very similarly, it was just cloud seeded. And I'm not saying that's the reason. All I'm saying is this weather modification trying to change our natural earth might need to be stopped. Again, they were calling, man, I'm drawing a blank here. Marjorie Taylor Greene a Q nut, because they're totally denying there's any weather modification, that there's anything going on in our ecosystem that would change it. And again, there's no way. Explain to me this. How could you do a study on what this would be? Think about it. The study is what we're seeing. They're going to do it for 10 more years and then realize, oh, wow, look at all the places we did it in. I mean, you've had a lot of people come forward and start talking about this. And it's just amazing that the talk isn't on about the families. It isn't about the victims. It isn't about the lost loved ones. It's about trying to ignore what could be a possibility. And it's budget cuts. It's budget cuts. We need to investigate this. We need more money to these NGOs. That's the bottom line. That's how they funnel money, and that's what they're going to do. I want you to listen to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. There was a cabinet meeting this morning. I just want you to listen to what she said about
still
her
there trying to facilitate.
When you met the father who was picking up the daughter's clothing, and
I had walked through the cabin where all the little girls died, and I had kind of fallen apart in there, but I walked out of the cabin and a gentleman was standing there and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him and I hugged him and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin. And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was another, the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the floodwaters and had gotten hit by something and had lost the girls and wasn't able to hang on to them and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp and putting them in bags. And then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress and my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too. And he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there today, that day, was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. And so very emotional, but also
just absolutely heartbreaking, folks. Just absolutely heartbreaking. Continue to pray for the families, the loved ones, the first responders. Again, we know what fake legacy media will do. And again, the key is we don't believe the fake legacy media. We've known for quite a while they have an agenda. They are part of the Democrat Party. So I'm going to move on. Something else we talked about yesterday was the Epstein video, the 10-hour surveillance that was released, and how there is no Epstein client list. A lot of people were banking on when Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Attorney General Pam Bondi went in there. Today in the cabinet meeting, they were asked, Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked about this, and I just want to give you her response, give you a take on what Glenn Beck says, what some people are calling for, and then give you my take on that.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
So I know a lot of people have been talking about that video. And when she said the year that video camera was, I have no doubt that she is not lying about that one. Anything that's government, they don't have a lot of updated technology. And I was at a company I worked for. I took care of the server back in probably 99. And we had security cameras all around the place. And I remember ours did the same thing. Every night at midnight, it would reset. So I would miss approximately a minute while the reset went on. And it's probably almost the exact same thing they've been using for, what is it, 26 years now? And so I don't have an issue with that. I guess what my issue is the explanation. We talked about this when Trump got elected before his inauguration. And I said, how many things do you think are being shredded and destroyed right now? I mean, just like in Hillary Clinton's basement, bleached, beaten with a hammer. And the thing that disappoints me is the fact that we are now, what is it, July, 6 months into the presidency almost. And yeah, these people didn't get appointed day one and get in the office. And again, it's not getting in there and just doing things overnight. I told you, I have patience for a lot of things. I mean, they've done, the Trump administration has done more in 6 months than I truly expected them to do during the entire administration. He's done more in 6 months than he did in his first 4 years. He's done more than any president, especially when it comes to returning our country back to sanity. But it's the way it's being handled. Now, I've even seen some posts, and I kind of laugh at these people calling out Trump. You promised this. And I'm like, if the Epstein client list was your number one reason you voted for Trump, get mad at him, cry. If it wasn't, border security, deportations, a strong economy, getting people off the tit of the taxpayer, everything that he has been doing, please cry me a river. I'm sorry for you. I just, it was funny. I seen like 3 or 4 posts yesterday of people calling out Trump, even some other things that are going on in this country. I didn't, I voted for this, not for this. You've probably gotten 99% of what you voted for. I've been at his rallies. I played almost a lot of his rallies. And if you think, a lot of these people probably don't know politics as much as they want to believe. And I was just laughing. And it goes to show you, again, my loyalty is with America. My loyalty is with the United States. Many people had said this when we were doing this. We were MAGA before MAGA was even a thing. We were at the school board meetings. We were talking about DEI. We were called racist. We were called Nazis. We were talking about border security. Way before there was such thing as Make America Great Again. And then these other people, many of them who have rode the coattail of Trump and his policies, are out there trying to say, oh, I didn't vote for this, or I just, it's just beyond belief. And there's not many of them. And none of the ones that are doing that could I say are diehard MAGA. And when I say diehard MAGA, I take Trump out of that. MAGA will be here long after Trump. MAGA is the new Republican Party. And I just thought it was really interesting to see. And I looked at a couple different ones and I was like, you know what? I think these people are trying to back out. It's great when Trump's, when there's just your typical left-wing media attacking Trump and doing all this. But if you can look cool for this point and get some likes and clicks, that's what people go for. Now, back to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Some people are calling for her resignation. I don't think it was handled well. But we almost live in like a day and time where everything has to happen yesterday. Again, her response to this was crap, without a doubt. Here's what I think happened. I think they thought they would find something. I really do. And I think, if you remember the paid influencers that came out of the White House with their binders, the Epstein files. I mean, What an absolute blow. That was bad. That was the Trump administration. That was the press secretary. That was bad. I think they thought that they were going to find some bombshell stuff, release some reports, and look like angels. And I think they've been panicking a little when they're like, where is this? Why don't we have this? Why don't we have this? And instead of just coming out and saying, you know what, we believe some evidence was destroyed. I was talking to my sister last night. And then, but guess what? Unfortunately, when you claim that things were destroyed, then people want to see arrests, right? And there is a form of protection that we're getting rid of some of it. We've seen a lot of J6 prosecutors, a lot of FBI agents that went after J6. We're seeing them being terminated. And that was a good start. That was a good start. There's still some that need to happen. There's still some people, some prosecutors that need to go, but we've seen a decent amount. Not to mention, some of the top things I know people voted for was for J6ers, border security, and deportation. That was their top three things. And all those things are happening or has happened. But then there's a lot of people that didn't give a shit about the J6ers or people being, because you can go back and look, and they weren't very excited in pushing that on their social media. But I just sit here and I think one thing you got to have in the Trump administration is at least your base has to trust your picks, right? Your base has to trust. I mean, that's how you move forward. There's going to be more incidences where people expect, no matter who the attorney general is, they expect the sledgehammer to come down, but that they haven't been living in America very long or something. Because again, we're not going to change everything overnight. But if Pam Bondi or whoever the attorney general is working on another case and that outcome isn't the same people are going to be calling for her to resign or to be fired. My impression, I watched the cabinet meeting. Trump had stated, why are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I don't think Trump likes the fact that they were able to come up with nothing. Maybe there is some stuff working in the background that they don't want to release. I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath. But take a look at what Glenn Beck posted. He posted, Pam Bondi should resign, not because of a cover-up, but for incompetence. And take a listen to this. I'm going to play this. It's part of his podcast. And just listen.
Is if the jump in the tape wasn't incompetent enough for you, listen to this one. Jason is here with us. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Glenn. What a morning. Wow.
Mm-hmm. What a morning it is. Okay, so Jason, what else have you found?
Okay, so the more and more we looked at this tape, I started looking. It was just weird because it looked like a janitor's closet. So door 46.
A janitor's closet.
And you were like, shut up. This is not a janitor's closet. I don't know what this is. Well, I was like, I could tell you there's a woman that looks like a janitor that comes out of supposedly the person, there's this cell that they're saying is his cell, which they're not, by the way. This was like people on social media were saying this was the cell. Is coming out with a trash can. So I looked around to see if there was any confirmation on what this cell was. And I found an OIG report from the Justice Department 2 years ago that shows the camera angle and the one camera that was actually working. So you can see the diagram, and I think we actually have it if you're watching this right now. There's a diagram that shows where this camera is. It shows where Epstein's cell is. And the big thing that stands out, Glenn, is this camera doesn't even have eyes on Epstein's cell at all. Like, not at all.
That's incredible.
4 different wings here. There is a service wing, and that's what we're looking at with that door 46. That's like a service entrance or staff entrance. Now, you can't see on the lower level Epstein cell at all. So this is what makes it look even crazier for that 1 minute that's missing. And I will say that, let me just say it this way. I've spent years and years and years looking at surveillance and security camera footage, as you know, in my previous job. I've never seen an over 1 minute jump right at a time that would be very, very, I don't know, just convenient. I've never seen that before in all my years looking at these things.
There's no reason. Why do you say that minute would be convenient? You're just saying that 1 minute being gone is convenient. You're not saying that particular minute
it's
is
convenient
important. We don't
in this entire time frame based off of this camera angle. So it's convenient, like let's say 60 seconds would.
So that's another thing is the camera angle. Remember when it all happened, they said the camera was not working. Hence, maybe why they use this camera angle. I'm just saying when you have something. You know, I'm not saying that the Trump administration is PR. They're pretty good on public relations. But a lot of times, if you don't like it, we don't care. We got a job to do. In this one, we need trust in our attorney general. We need trust in Kash Patel. We need trust in Dan Bongino. And I'm not saying I don't trust Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, or maybe even Pam Bondi a little. I think they've got themselves kind of dug a little deep, and not Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. I think they went in gung-ho. I don't think they have sold out the American people or their patriotism for any deep state or anything like that. I just don't think that is the case. But you have to ask yourself, one, when we're looking at this and we're seeing this, was everything destroyed? Was everything destroyed? And they're like, no, we're going to dig deep. We're going to find it. We have the best, people in technology here. It's not going to be an issue. And then they keep digging and they're like sweating and they're like, oh no, this is not good. How are we?
Be great for someone walking across.
Again, I think we're not done hearing about this. I think through polling and other things, because now it's being used by the left, who never asked Joe Biden to release anything, who never wanted more answers under Joe Biden. Now all of a sudden the left is like, well, why don't we have it? So I just think it's a little hypocritical. And Pixie says, then why lie? Was it ever on her desk? I don't consider she lied. When it's on my desk is the files. I just don't look at that as a lie. I look at that as political talk. Again, she has files. She has information. It was on her desk. But just not what we want to see. Not the stuff that we would think that would be relevant to finding the perpetrators in this sex trafficking. Now, again, Maxwell. How is Maxwell in jail for trafficking then? If there was no trafficking going on. I'm going to
news now in
hope that something more comes out. But again, I think the trust with Pam Bondi might be ruined. I don't know if she can get it back. And if she can't get it back, I don't know how long she can stay in that position. Because again, everybody's just going to go back to this. Oh, the Epstein files. Oh, this. But then again, we'll have to see, because we know the Trump administration, if they feel it's affecting what their progress needs to be in the next 3.5 years, Trump has no issue with letting people go. He's the you're fired guy. So yesterday we talked about some other stuff. And one of the things that we're talking about is what's going on in LA, how there was assaults for federal officers and ICE agents, how it's gone up, 800% now, I believe. And they say, well, this doesn't happen, which we know is a lie. We've been to LA. We've documented it. This doesn't happen unless Trump has his National Guard and he's being forceful. So last night in Karen Bass's LA, there was a vigil. During this vigil, the police were called because this vigil was, of course, blocking traffic. Guess what happened? These were not ICE agents. These were not federal officers. These were local police. They the thugs out there started throwing rocks and bottles at the cops and slashed all the tires on 8 marked patrol vehicles. I'm going to show you this video. This is just, it's just insane. Because again, it has nothing to do with ICE, has nothing to do with federal law enforcement. It has to do with these common criminals that live in a city that they haven't enforced laws for so long, and these little children are going to be continuing to do that. Take a look.
Breaking news now in Hyde Park tonight, where an unruly crowd began attacking LAPD officers, throwing bottles at patrol cars, and slashing tires on several of those units. The crowd had gathered for a vigil at Hyde Park and Crenshaw Boulevards when the confrontation erupted. Officers had been called to the scene after reports of the intersection being blocked by people. LAPD officers called for backup and formed a skirmish line to disperse the crowd. Several patrol cars had to be towed after their tires were slashed. Breaking news now in Hyde Park tonight, where an unruly crowd began.
So it doesn't matter. It's law enforcement in general. It's people that are going to hold the citizens and non-citizens accountable. And they attacked they had to get multiple police cruisers towed, guys. But no, this only happens to ICE and federal
attacking
agents.
LAPD
it
officers.
It just goes to show you exactly what our federal law enforcement has to deal with down there. Now, listen to this. And other news, I read this last week, and I meant to cover it, but we were pretty busy, and then we had the 4th of July. Again, and then yesterday we covered the fact that the California Department of Education was not going to follow federal laws and said, you know what, pretty much take our funding when they said they were not going to remove males from female sports. This was last week. Check this out. Let me pull this up for you.
This also wasn't just any race. It was the Road Racing National Championships. And at the end of this grueling race in Wisconsin last week, Kate KJ Phillips, a biological male, blew past the other racers in the final sprint to win the gold medal. You can see in this picture, the second place spot on the podium next to Phillips is empty. That is because veteran cyclist Julie Cutts-Peterson refused to stand on the podium in protest of Phillips being allowed to compete. Here she is on America's Newsroom, or America Reports, rather.
100 races against women, thousands in group rides, sprinting against men. And I knew at that sprint that was a man's sprint. There's no amount of makeup, money, or marketing that can change that Y chromosome. And that's why we're taking a stand.
Cutts-Peterson and other cyclists claim USA Cycling hid the fact that a biological male would be competing in the race by leaving Phillips's name off the list of those who had registered. The organization has not responded to multiple requests for comment other than sending over their transgender policy, which states an athlete only needs to provide a signed declaration of their gender and prove their testosterone levels have been below a certain threshold for at least 2 years. That policy is notably different than the sport's global governing body, which now restricts transgender women from competing in races against biological women. Cutts-Peterson and other racers say if they had known Phillips was competing, they would have saved themselves the vacation days and hundreds of dollars they spent to travel to Wisconsin for this race. Dana?
Oh, my.
This is just more insanity. I'm sure this policy will change. But once again, a male dominating a female in a sport. Anybody shocked? I'm not. I feel bad for the women who raced in that, and kudos to that person who got second for saying, I'm not participating in this mental illness, this insanity. And it's just crazy. Other news today I thought was interesting. I don't know how often you guys travel, but I tend to travel a little bit. And I seen this come up, and it said, the TSA will now allow all airport travelers to keep their shoes on. I've gotten used to traveling, so depending on where I am, I always try to wear flip-flops. But when you're leaving somewhere that's cold and it's like 28 degrees, you wear shoes, obviously. But I think that's a win. I think that's a win because I go through TSA a lot, and more so then what bothers me is the untrained TSA agents. You guys know when I travel, I carry a lot of equipment. I carry multiple batteries. I probably travel with about 5 or 6 battery packs. Some of them are rather large because they will charge the phone up 7, 8 times. And when we're out streaming for 12, 16 hours a day, and then we get back to the hotel and we can only charge for 3 hours, it's not going to charge the pack up completely. It'll continue charging that phone that day. And I can't tell you, just the last time I went where was the last place we went? Well, we went to DC when I met Penny Loafer Matt down there. They stopped me in my bag and they start going through the stuff and they're like, "Oh, you can't take this." I was like, "I've been traveling for years with that same battery pack. I can." Well, I don't know on the milliamp hours. Hold on, let me see. And I kid you not, this person that was uneducated in it went to like 4 different people that were also uneducated with it. They ended up just letting me go. And I want to be safe on a plane. Trust me. I want to be safe on a plane. But if you had somebody there that was trained, I mean, especially if it's a danger, those should be the first things you are trained on. Like, hey, do not allow this to go. Because I have accidentally had pepper spray in my bag instead of my checked on. Because I have a lot of stuff in my bag and it's went right through there and I get to wherever I'm going and I'm going through my bag to pull out my cords and I'm like, pepper spray? Wow, how'd that get through? But this right here, not having to take your shoes off, I think is a win. And I'm glad. Another thing that came out today, and we have actually discussed this before. The IRS says churches can endorse political candidates without losing tax exempt status. Let me show you this right here. Pull it up. It says a joint motion for entry of consent of judges. And this is kind of big. And the reason why I say that is because this has been utilized. The 501c3 status has been utilized to silence churches for a long time, because the interesting thing is a lot of churches that don't want to lose their 501c3 status, and you guys know we've talked about this, like, why aren't these churches speaking out? Why aren't they doing just a little bit more? And we're not asking them to even endorse a political candidate, but talk truth about what people are voting for, right? I think a lot of people turn on mainstream media, and again, that's in the background when they're feeding their children. They hear something, it sticks in their mind. And but this also goes to something. I'm on a nonprofit with Ben Berkwan and Will Johnson, Frontline America Foundation. And we had always joked it would be one of those things to take this to the Supreme Court, because if you are a religious nonprofit, they don't want you to speak about politics per se. And this goes back to the separation of church and state, to where Democrats have made the state the victim. And in reality, the separation of church and state was to protect the church from the state. And just like many other things, just like the 14th Amendment when it came to slavery and their children, and now we're using it now to make anchor babies American citizens, a lot of things are misinterpreted. It says the move ends a 70-year interpretation of the tax code and the Johnson Amendment that barred nonprofit groups, including churches, from endorsing political candidates without risking their tax exempt status. Again, it was a stranglehold on churches. And what's interesting is a lot of nonprofits still endorse candidates, but they never went after them, because why? They were endorsing left-wing candidates. So I think that's pretty good. I think that was a win. This morning, outside of the White House, the Trump administration has launched Operation Take Back Farmland. I want to play this from our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. Take a look.
And other foreign adversaries. Today, we are taking this purpose and our American farmland back. American agriculture is not just about feeding our families, but about protecting our nation and standing up to foreign adversaries who are buying our farmland, stealing our research, and creating dangerous vulnerabilities in the very systems that sustain us. Reshoring and nearshoring our food and agriculture supply chain is essential for our nation's security. In coordination with the White House, the Departments of Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, and Justice, as well as state governors, state agriculture commissioners, local, tribal, and territorial governments, today we announced the USDA's National Farm Security Action Plan. This plan includes 7 key action items, and there's a lot of people here that I want you to hear from, so I'm not going to go one by one, but just very quickly. It's on our website. The press has gotten a preview of it, and we can ask some questions once we finish the main program. But very quickly, and perhaps the most important, the first of the 7 is securing and protecting American farmland ownership. Actively engaging at every level of government to take swift legislative and executive action to ban the purchase of American farmland by Chinese nationals and other foreign adversaries. Standing on the shoulders of great governors, 3 of whom are standing behind me, who have already been leading the way on this issue. And at the federal government level, working to do everything within our ability, including presidential authorities, to claw back what has already been purchased by China and other foreign adversaries. Additionally, working with the Treasury of the Secretary of the Treasury, along with our Defense Department on memorandums to ensure that moving forward, there is a much more intentional look at who is buying what in this country and from where they are in the world.
Amen. We've covered this before. In that background, I don't think you could see it in that picture there, but the governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, has done this. And if you notice, not only does it ban future, they also said use presidential authority to claw back what has already been purchased. I think this is huge. I think this is, again, if you control the food and the water, you can do a lot of damage to America, right? I want my farmers to be American farmers, and I know Democrats are upset about this. That they're going to be pushing for China just like they do in tariffs and everything else. But I think this is not only great for consumers, not only great for those farmers, it's going to be great for our national security. This is a national security threat. We've talked about it. We've done entire shows on this stuff in the past. When Sarah Huckabee Sanders did this, she was criticized, of course, by Democrats. Being fascist. We should we should give our farmlands to China. No, we should not. And we need to get out. And one other thing, and I don't think we'll ever see this, but we need to go a step farther and get rid of these mega farms. Who is it? Bill Gates, that owns a high percentage of our farming, uses his chemicals, and we know how Bill Gates is with chemicals and vaccines. That can be scary. Also, we're going to have 2 videos talking about this. There was some rumors coming out, and they put a quash on it quickly, that somehow Trump was going to be for mass amnesty, that people in his party have convinced him. I just want you to listen to what Secretary
there will be no
Brooke Rowland says, because again, we are working on a program, a federal program that will allow these people that are working and paying taxes and following the law to continue to do the jobs that they've been doing for a set amount of time. Again, these aren't people that are living off the government. These aren't people that are getting free Medicaid. Those people are going to be gone. But these are the people that have been working on the farms for years, that have been working in certain industries for years. And take a listen to this.
No amnesty. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
I love the ending of that. 34 million able-bodied adults on Medicaid. Now it's time to earn your keep. There's no free handouts in this world. There's no free handouts in this world, and I am sick and tired of Democrats lying and saying, oh, grandma's going to lose healthcare. No, we're trying to save the healthcare system we have from grandma and stop spending so much on healthcare. This is just insane. This was also Secretary Kristi Noem was up there. She spoke a minute about the imports and what's coming in. Take a listen to this. And I'm going to tell you a story after this. And it's going to be quite interesting about some of the effects that people are already seeing from this CBP and Customs and Border Enforcement actually doing their job. Take a listen.
I have responsibility when it comes to securing our homeland, but many of those responsibilities have to do with securing our critical infrastructure. We have the responsibility for 10 of our 16 critical infrastructures, which means our electrical grid, our water supply chain, how we protect and run this country, and what we do to make sure the people here are safe, but not just the people, the products and goods that come in and out of this country. Our Customs and Border Protection units are the ones that all of our goods come into this country and leave this country on, and their investigations and how they inspect our ag products are critically important to make sure that we aren't facing any kind of threats from what kind of products may come into this country or what kind of terrorist acts might happen from goods that other countries may wish to send to us that would harm our food supply. We will continue to make sure that we have the systems in place, the people in place, the experts in place, and the policies in place to make sure that this country always feeds itself, and that we always have the ability to grow our own food, and that we rely on no one else to feed the people of the United States of America, because it is a national security issue when a country cannot provide for itself. And we will never let any other country control our food supply or control our people, because we will always be the great United States of America. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Now, a couple months ago, or maybe it was about 8 weeks ago, I covered a story. And so there's a lot of knockoff products that have been allowed to come into the United States. Actually, let me see if I can find the story right here while we're doing this. And one of those things that comes in illegally is the vapes. These right here. One of the habits I need to kick. I know. So it's actually against the law to already buy this in California, because you can buy vapes, but you just can't buy flavored vapes, guys. You can't buy flavored tobacco. If you're black and you smoke menthols, which are predominantly the choice of cigarettes for black people, you can't buy those in the state of California. We covered that as well. 90% of the vapes that were in the United States right now are currently illegal. They're coming in, they're knockoffs. We don't have a whole lot of manufacturers in the United States because they couldn't compete with China. So last week, the end of last week, and I pay attention to this a lot because a lot of times, even when I was staying with Matt in Indiana, I went to a vape shop so I could buy a couple vapes because, again, they're much less expensive, obviously, in other states, but also you get much more variety and flavor. Well, there's a lot of stores here in California that still sell these, still give us some freedoms. And so I went in there last week and almost all the shelves were empty. And let me tell you, this store probably had about a spot of 30 feet by 12 feet that were all vapes. A lot of people went there, all different colors, all different flavors. And there was very few on the shelf. And I was waiting for this to happen. I actually told Rachel, I said, it won't be long till all those things are gone here, because we're stopping them when they're being imported. Now, I bought like one of the last, they had probably like 35 left. I bought one of the last ones, which is this right here. Yes, a Chinese vape, because you can't get American-made vapes hardly at all, because again, 90% of the vapes are from China. And check this out. This was one of those articles I shared with you probably about 8 weeks ago. FDA and CBP sees 34 million in illegal e-cigarettes in Chicago. That was just Chicago. Now they've been doing this, and so you're actually starting to see the effects of law enforcement that's doing their job and putting America first. Now, what this will do, there's still a demand for vapes. People are always going to vape. People are always going to vape. Not everybody, but people are going to vape. And so where there's a demand, you guys know about, there needs to be a supply. This will jumpstart American companies to start doing this. And I'm not talking about the ones that nobody likes, because there is some American companies, or maybe not American, but based in America, that manufacture them here, and nobody likes them. And so I just think that's interesting, because you're seeing firsthand when you walk into a place, and this is going to be everywhere. It doesn't matter California, it doesn't matter, Indiana, Chicago. They're going to have to start relying and placing orders with American-made companies. Check this out. This was Brooke Rollins with Pete Hegseth. Listen to this.
Secretary at the Department of Defense.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke Rollins here with my great friend, Secretary Pete Hegseth. Today is a banner day. We continue to effectuate President Trump's vision of securing America against the world threats. And so today we're rolling out farm security is national security, protecting our agricultural homelands and our way of life. And again, what a joy to get to do this with Secretary Hegseth.
Well, thank you for your leadership, honestly. I mean, this is what secretaries in your position should have done a long time ago. I mean, we've got a Department of Homeland Security director that cares about Homeland Security.
Yeah. Yes.
And that Attorney General that cares about justice.
Yes.
And at the Secretary at the Department of Defense, we care about Homeland Security. Yeah. And as you said, energy security, food security, water security is national security. And so when you look at our bases here in the United States or around the world, we ought to know who owns that land around strategic bases.
That's right.
Where are they from? Are they Americans? If not, why?
Yeah.
And your plan helps us address that. And so we're excited to partner with you. Thank you for your leadership. Anything we can do, let us know. Yeah. And this is all part of securing America and American citizens and putting America first. So it's common sense for us.
Yeah.
It's just too bad government hasn't
done it yet. Amen. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Again, and we've talked about that. There's a lot of Chinese-owned land or / farmland around our American military bases. And again, that's a national security threat. We also covered something else, and I'm hearing it's already beginning, but we covered Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy implemented that, you know what, if you're driving on American roads and you're driving these big trucks, you need to speak English. We need to be able to communicate with you. Listen to what he said
got
today.
Some news on when it comes to trucking in the United States. And one thing that I think that it might be of interest to a lot of people are new rules requiring that if you want to drive an 18-wheeler on our roads with a commercial license, you're going to have to learn how to speak English and understand and read English so that you can be trusted to know all of the regulations and safety precautions required to drive these 18-wheelers.
Well, all the road signs, but also if you get in a car crash or if you're pulled over by law enforcement, you have to be able to communicate, what you have on your truck, on your rig. Listen, this is not a new rule. By the way, the English only requirement or English proficiency requirement has been on the books for a long time. It's just that Barack Obama made sure that if you violated that rule, it was a slap on the wrist. We're going back to the old rule of we're going to put your rig out of service and make sure that you don't drive if you can't speak the language, which, again, this is just common sense. This is our language, English. If you're going to get on the road with potentially dangerous vehicles, speak our language.
I just love it. America first, English as the first language. Again, enough abusing the system and not, if you're going to be a truck driver in the United States, part of assimilating here, if you're a foreigner, is to learn the language. And I think that should be for everybody. Yesterday, this was interesting too. Yesterday, we talked about, I said, let me see if anything's going on. A judge, check this out. This was not an executive order. We just passed the one big, beautiful bill. Now, how do bills go? Bills go to the Senate, to Congress, they get approval, and they get the president's signature. So it passed the House, the Senate, and has Trump's signature on it, right? And a judge thought and thinks that she could put a temporary restraining order on parts of that bill. And what parts of that bill? Of course, the funding of the pro-abortion Planned Parenthood. Now, we knew there would be a fight with this. Why? Because Planned Parenthood spends a lot of money pushing and donating to Democrats. So a federal judge blocked the Big Beautiful Bill's provision to defund Planned Parenthood. Now, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Take a look at this. This is just another screenshot here. Contributions. Planned Parenthood. Top affiliates: Nevada Advocates for Planned Parenthood, PAC, Planned Parenthood Advocates of Wisconsin, Planned Parenthood Alliance. This is how much they're lobbying, folks. This is their contributions: $5,144,000. Lobbying, what is that? In 2024, it was $1,088,000. And the total this is just ridiculous. Now, we remember and we covered when the DNC was having their convention, there was a Planned Parenthood bus outside giving chemical abortions out there because they worship the murder of children. They don't say, hey, it's a bad idea. We should only be doing this in extreme circumstances. No, Democrats consider abortion a contraceptive, which is just disgusting and sick. Josh Hawley put out this statement. I just think it's funny because, again, Congress, the Senate, and the president all agree on something, and a judge, a rogue judge, and this won't last long, thinks that they can do this. Take a look at what Josh Hawley said. He goes, a federal judge in Massachusetts has blocked Congress from defunding Planned Parenthood. This decision is totally lawless, so completely at odds with the Constitution. Congress has the power of the purse under Article 1, not courts, as to approach grounds for impeachment. This person should not be on the bench. This person, once again, is a Democrat activist that wants to fund Planned Parenthood. It's just like the same activist judges that wanted to protect USAID because the billions of dollars that USAID received came back and funneled back to Democrat causes or Democrats themselves. So this will be interesting. I don't know if we're going to hear something today. Maybe before the next show, we'll hear something today. Now we're going to move into what's going on with our ICE, our law enforcement, what Antifa's doing, and just the violence. We know about the Democrat rhetoric that these are Nazis, these are mass kidnappers, everything else that these Democrats that will tell you to tone down, and how they're really encouraging violence against our law enforcement. This is another one I don't know if you've heard about. This is Matthew White was just arrested for allegedly posting multiple threatening messages to kill ICE agents and their children. It says on April 18th, White posted, "Kill them all. ICE is the new age Gestapo. Stop them." On April 29th, White shared a video clip of border czar Tom Homan posted by an ex-user America and commented, "Then understand that if your ICE agents don't show proof of identity and a signed warrant, we will kill them." In late April, White posted multiple threatening and violent public comments in response to coverage of several ICE arrest operations, including an ICE arrest operation inside a Virginia courthouse that occurred in April 2025. White posted, "I can't wait to put a bullet into this guy's brain, but first his children." I'm going to show you some other stuff because, again, I know everybody wants things to happen overnight. It's happening. These people are being somewhat held accountable. These are federal charges, so it's not going to be easy to get off on. We got some other stuff that has to do with what happens to America when we let illegals in. Rep Mike Collins tweeted this today, and this is just frustrating. This is just frustrating, and y'all should be angered. It says, a judge has ruled that the illegal alien convicted of killing Laken Riley will now undergo mental health evaluation to see if he was competent to stand trial. Rep Mike Collins goes, he's guilty. He murdered that poor girl, and there is no doubt that he knew what he was doing. Life in prison is the lightest sentence he deserves. So once again, your tax dollars are paying for this illegal alien murderer that killed Laken Riley to go to a mental health evaluation to see, maybe we won't put him in jail. Maybe we'll put him in a mental institution. Maybe we'll do this. No, off with his head. Off with his head. Eye for an eye. And yesterday, I thought this was great. Yesterday, we covered what was going on in L.A. Karen Bass went out there for her photo op. And thought that she had the control. She's like, this is LA. We do not enforce laws here. I need you to get out. Just look at our city. Look at the rampant drug use, the homelessness, the crime. We don't enforce laws. And here was a response from Greg Bavino, the CBP sector chief. Take a listen. I love this. I love this. More of this, please.
Is not leaving LA. I don't work for Karen Bass. The federal government doesn't work for Karen Bass. We're going to be here till that mission's accomplished, as I said, and better get used to us now, because this is going to be normal very soon. The federal.
And what I think he's talking about, I'm going to read between the lines. He said this is going to be normal very soon. We just passed the one big beautiful bill, which allocates money for 10,000 additional ICE agents. I think these ICE agents are just going to fill up these cities, that especially sanctuary cities, and you're going to see a lot more crying and a lot more Democrats encouraging violence on our federal law enforcement. I just thought that was a great move. Another thing that we've been talking about, and we've showed you video of and we've covered, is the ICE facility in Portland. Yesterday, we showed you a video from Katie Daviscourt, where there is an apartment right there that's being used as a stage place, kind of like a where you can go in there when you're Antifa and you're trying to plan your insurrection on the ICE facility, and you're throwing fireworks and Molotov cocktails at police. You get to go rest there, and they went in and arrested somebody. I thought that was great. Mr. Andy No posted this today. It says, 4 more violent Portland Antifa riot suspects have been federally charged. The 4 are accused of violently rioting at the 4th of July direct action where local ICE facility besieged again. Says Riley Maxwell Freeman, 26, of Portland, has been charged with a criminal complaint with a felony offense of assaulting a federal officer with a deadly or dangerous weapon and possession of an unregistered destructive device. Freeman faces up to 20 years in prison. Ian Joseph McCarthy, 35, of Portland, has been charged by a criminal complaint with felony offenses of assaulting a federal officer and depredation of government property. He allegedly used bolt cutters to destroy a card reader and to cut the fiber optic cable system for the facility. He allegedly punched and assaulted an officer when he was arrested. Andrew Lee Wyatt Markham, 22, of Portland, has been charged by criminal complaint with a felony offense of assaulting a federal officer. He allegedly assaulting an officer after vandalizing the building. Jeremy Andrew Hummel, 27, of Portland, has been charged by criminal complaint with a misdemeanor offense of depredation of government property. All 4 were released without bail on July 7th by a federal judge. These 4 bring the total of federal Antifa suspects to 21 in Portland. So these folks are, I know they're not going to miss time from work, but hopefully they are prosecuted because, again, no Democrats are speaking out against the violence. Actually, our next story is kind of brings you back of what happens when you're a Democrat and you call for violence. You call these people Nazis. You call them kidnappers, and you justify the assaults on them. I want you to take a listen to this. This is from Homeland Security, and we'll get into some video.
Faces a mandatory prison late at night on July 4th, Friday night at approximately 10:37 p.m. at the Prairieland ICE Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas. 10 to 12 individuals dressed in black military-style clothing began shooting fireworks and engaging in acts of vandalism at the facility. And this was part of an organized attack. Today, my office has charged 10 individuals with 3 counts of attempted murder of a federal officer. Each of the 10 are also charged with 3 counts of discharging a firearm in relation to a crime of violence. Each of these defendants faces a mandatory prison term of 10 years and up to life in prison. An additional co-conspirator was charged with obstruction of justice and conspiracy for attempting to conceal and destroy evidence in relation to the attack, and he faces up to 10 years in prison. Let's discuss the incident. It was a planned ambush with the intent to kill ICE corrections officers. Make no mistake, this was not a so-called peaceful protest.
Man, I'm loving this. I don't like the fact that they're doing this, but if this would have happened under Biden's watch, you would have no arrest. You would have nothing. But we're bringing law and order back. And these criminals are also responsible for a lot of other crimes, especially when there's protest in the city. These are the same ones that burn it down. Let me see if the next one was the mug shots. Here is a video here. Take a listen to Fox News and just take a look at these mug shots, if you will. Let me put this up on the screen here.
As we told you earlier, a police officer was shot in the neck. So here are the 10 suspects. They are all charged with attempted murder. And of course,
don't they all look like raging liberal lunatics? I wonder if any of them are trans. Because we've been seeing that when it came to the Tesla protest, all the trans terrorism going on, especially with Trans Tifa and Antifa.
Just one of several recent attacks on ICE and Border Patrol agents and facilities. And Senator Markwayne Mullin spoke to us about it last hour. Watch.
It's not surprising when you have the Democrats that are out there constantly villainizing the ICE agents, actually leading the charge towards obstruction and getting in their way and not treating them with respect as true law enforcement. This is going to continue to happen. And the Democrats should be held responsible that have been villainizing the ICE agents for the last, 3 months, 4 months?
You have to imagine, one, what motivates them to go. If these charges can be a disincentive for people to, if they're actually charged with attempted murder, then those prosecutors will probably not just blow it off like they would in some other jurisdictions.
I think big questions are, who are these people? Where they come from? What's their background?
Who organized it?
There was another case yesterday in McAllen, Texas, right?
Yeah, so this was not the same one where the officer was shot yesterday that we talked about in McAllen, Texas. So multiple attempted murders on our ICE agents, and legacy media silent. This is why you can't hate legacy media enough. The CNNs, all these others. I mean, this is pretty big. This is pretty big. I promise you, if me and some friends would have went down to the DC Gulag with shooting fireworks at the DC Gulag and shot an officer in the neck, we would, A, never see the light of day. B, it would be running 24/7 on news cycle. When you wake up in the morning on your way to work or to get your coffee, you turn on the news, it would be on there. We're not seeing that because, again, legacy media is an arm of the Democrat Party. Let's take a look at this right here. Take a listen to this. Actually, let me read it for you first. This is what Democrats are against. ICE and FBI captured Honduran illegal alien and MS-13 gang member Johnny Handy Martinez Barriles in Indiana. Despite previous charges of first-degree murder and possession of a firearm, Maryland police reneged on an ICE detainer in 2023 and allowed this MS-13 gang member to endanger American communities until we finish the job. But wait, there's more. We found another criminal alien in his passenger seat. Danilo Escobar was deported 3 times since April of 2024 alone, with pending charges for strangulation, domestic battery, and cocaine possession. We'll keep them both off the streets until justice is served, which will likely include one-way tickets back to Honduras. How many times were we at the border? And many of those people that were walking through unvetted were from Honduras. Take a look at this. This was a great operation.
I'll get your coat for you. ¿Y qué países están ciudadanos? Honduras? Okay.
Just epic, absolutely epic. So happy that that's going on right now, and we're getting these violent, illegal aliens out of the country. Listen to Stephen Miller, what he says. Yeah, I love Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller is one of my favorite on the Trump administration. Let me get this up.
Insurrectionist movement in the Democratic Party that is inspiring domestic terrorism against ICE. When you have the mayor of Los Angeles mobilizing agitators, mobilizing the mob against ICE, saying that federal law enforcement has to leave her city, this is a settled constitutional question. Federal law is the supreme law of the land. You cannot nullify it. You cannot succeed from it. It is the law of the United States of America. So these insurrectionist Democrats are every day engaging in rhetoric that is incentivizing, that is encouraging, that is fomenting violent terrorist attacks against ICE and ICE officers. Not only in the shootings that you've seen recently, but ICE officers are being doxxed. Their families and children are being threatened. Their addresses are being posted online. They are being subjected to a campaign of terror by these radical Democrats. There is an
So there you have it. More truth from Stephen Miller. And again, this administration is not going to back down. Nothing's going on that's going to change anything. I promise you, it was the number one issue that Trump was elected to do. It wasn't the Epstein files. It was save this country. Take a listen to Chicago mayor and what he has to say.
And division. Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE. Whatever their constitutional authority is.
That's kind of interesting. So when people are raped and murdered by illegal aliens, Chicago police will not cooperate with ICE. They will make sure that person that committed those murders remain in Chicago. And again, we told you earlier about the rumor going around that was kind of spread. I don't know if it was for clickbait or what, but here's Trump again.
There's no amnesty.
Saying that there's no amnesty. Let me put this up on the screen.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. Do you want to explain that, please?
Yeah, this morning we talked about, of course, this was a top of mind question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and the farmland, but obviously this president's vision of no amnesty, mass deportation continues, but in a strategic way, and then ensuring that our farmers have the labor that they need. Secretary Chavez DeRimmer has been a leader on this. Obviously this comes out of the Labor Department, but moving toward automation, ensuring that our farmers have that workforce, and moving toward an American workforce. So all of the above.
We want to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty.
So again, that was just a false report that they were able to put to bed right away. Hey, guys, check this out. We are 100% viewer funded. We appreciate you guys supporting us. Please hit that like button, share these videos out. But we are at the beginning of the month. We got multiple data bills, cell phone bills, and everything else we got to pay. And that is thanks to your blessing. If you want to help us out and donate, we would appreciate it. It's Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App, $Oreo Army. We also have a Give Send Go, which is givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. And on top of that, if you do mobile or online banking and you want to do a Zelle transfer, we appreciate that. Again, first of the month's always the toughest for us, and we want to thank you. But you can, our Zelle link is over on our website, theoreoexpress.com, and go over to the Donate Now button, which you just got to scroll down on our homepage. You'll see that. And we thank you for all the blessings. We thank you for keeping us on the air, traveling, doing all the things we do. We want to say we appreciate you, and we can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much. We will be back later on this afternoon. I do have some news. I think the Speedwagon will be gone. Someone's going to come take a look at it. It's told you it's ran its course. And so we're going to sell it to use the money to fix the other car. And then we're going to work on getting something for traveling, because the other car is not made for traveling at this point. So that's going to be going bye-bye. But again, if you guys want to help out, we appreciate it. Again, you guys keep us on the air. We appreciate the Oreo Army, and we appreciate all your blessings. We will see you approximately 3 o'clock Pacific time, which is 3 hours and 23 minutes away, unless something goes on. Again, I'm meeting a gentleman to possibly pick up the Speedwagon. So ta-ta for now for the Speedwagon until we get something. So thank you guys for tuning in. God bless you all. We'll see you soon.
The Oreo Express, where truth don't hide and we don't second guess. Unapologetic, we're bold and we're loud, shining light on the left shady crowd. Oreo Express, rolling down the track, exposing the lies, ain't no turning back. Conservative fire, we're speaking the truth. At Oreo Express, this one's for you. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll, let's go. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100